So how much walking do you need to get lean? How much should you be walking to lose weight? I think these are great questions, and in this video I want to share with you my own walking routine and what I do when I want to get down to 10% body fat and below, and also want to share with you some practical tips that you can use to set up your own walking routine and really make this a part of your own lifestyle when you want to get lean and stay lean. And if you've been around for a while, you know I'm a really big fan of walking. I actually just did a video on walking versus running and why I choose walking instead of running, and I would highly recommend you check out that video. I'm going to link it in the description below. And I also want to make a note that walking more works best in addition to managing your nutrition and your resistance training, because with nutrition, that's the primary driver of fat loss. Getting in a caloric deficit, eating a high protein diet, making sure your diet is healthy, and with resistance training, making sure you're being progressive, challenging your body, getting stronger. Now that combined with walking will deliver some exceptional results. So now without any further ado, let's dive into my walking routine. So the first thing that I set as a part of my walking routine is the target amount of steps per day. And for me, that's gonna be a range between 10,000 and 15,000 steps per day. 10,000 steps per day is 4.5 miles of walking. And for me at 5 feet 10, weight of 182 to 185 pounds when I'm starting my diets, that gives me around 300 calories burnt net. Net is very important here because a lot of people make the mistake considering the total amount of calories burnt. And what you want to actually do is total amount of calories from walking burnt minus the amount of calories you would have burned sitting down, which roughly gives me around 300 estimated calories burnt times 7 for a whole week. That's 2,100 calories. Now, I burned those 2,100 calories plus I created a 3,500 calorie deficit with my nutrition, which gives me then a total of 1.5 pounds of loss per week, which is excellent. That's exactly what I want at the beginning of my diet when I'm around 15-ish or so percent body fat, when I want to get down to 10% body fat. Because naturally, as you get closer to 10% body fat, you have a lot less fat to lose. The fat loss process is going to go from closer to that 1%, closer to that 0.5% body weight per week. So I'm not expecting to lose 1.5 pounds in those last few weeks, but in the beginning, it's a really welcome change because I don't have to diet as long. And now what I've noticed back in the day when I wasn't doing as much walking, for me to get 1.5 pounds of loss per week, I really had to cut my calories below 2,000. I had to go down to 1,800, 1,900. And when I want to get down to 10% body fat, I would really be that 1,800 calories, which would affect my energy levels, my productivity. I wasn't recovering from my workouts as much. It just made the whole thing a lot more unsustainable because I wasn't really focused on walking in my first couple of diets down to 10% body fat. I was walking maybe around 5,000, 6,000 steps per day, just a little bit that I would get naturally throughout the day, maybe in the gym. And I wasn't really focused on it. Now, with 10 to 15,000 steps per day, I'm really able to diet well above 2,000 calories, which is a lot more sustainable. I feel like the process is not only more efficient, but I'm able to enjoy it a lot more. It's still hard, but it's nowhere near as hard as it used to be. So I would highly recommend aiming at a higher step count. Really, more is better here. I do have to, of course, be mindful of my training performance because I am training really hard in terms of resistance training. So when I'm aiming for 10 to 15,000 steps per day, I'm not doing them before the workout. So I'm usually doing them after the workout, the bulk of that. So let's say I have 10,000 steps per day. I'm going to take 1/3 of that before the workout, then 2/3 of that after the workout, just to make sure that I'm ready to crush it for that workout session. And then later I'm going to get my steps. So my priorities are very clear, as so should yours be as well. If your goal is to really have that athletic physique and build that muscle, retain that muscle, if you're going down to 10% body fat. Now, in terms of recommendations exactly for you to set up your own routine, and by the way, before we dive into that, would really appreciate if you like it so far to hit that like button below as well. It means a lot to me, helps a lot with the algorithm, so please go ahead, smash the like button. Now, moving on, how many steps should you aim at as a part of your own routine? So the first thing that I'd like you to do is determine your baseline. And you can do so by looking at the data from your smartphone, or if you have a Fitbit or a different fitness tracker, an Apple Watch, and you can see how many steps have you been getting per day on average over the course of the last 2 to 3 weeks. And that number might be a shocker. You might get only 4,000 steps a day. Like I used to get that much when I was a software engineer. I was working at a desk. I was very sedentary, and that was my baseline. Now, if you're in that situation, you don't want to suddenly set that target to be 15,000. Set that target to be 7,000. Set that target to be 8,000, something close to that 4,000. Because the difference between 4,000 and 8,000 steps per day is just taking a walk after each meal. 10-minute walk, 10 minutes, 1,200 steps easily adds up to that 7,000 to 8,000 range. Now, that becoming a new baseline, you can scale from there. You can go up to 10,000, or you can be a little bit more strategic about it. You could keep some days at 8,000 that are very busy days, and then set up 1 or 2 long walks throughout the week to increase your average. So that long walk might be on Saturday and Sunday with a family member or your partner, girlfriend, boyfriend, a friend. If it's a solo walk, you can do a couple podcasts, you can do an audiobook, and make that work. Make that a part of your lifestyle. It's important to be specific. You don't want to be wishy-washy and just saying I'm going to walk more. You want to specifically state when, how it's going to happen, when it's going to happen, with whom it's going to happen, so it becomes real. It becomes a part of your calendar, a part of your schedule. And the other thing is, you do want to adjust all your walking trackers, so all your step tracker apps, to give you notifications for when you're missing those steps, because that little nudge can sometimes mean a difference between you actually doing it or not doing it. It's also great accountability, because one of the big things about walking is that accountability. And just by tracking it, paying attention to it, you will increase your baseline over time, which you should do. Remember, your goal is to lose somewhere between 0.5% to 1% of your body weight per week. If you're 200 pounds, that's between 1 to 2 pounds. Adding 10,000 steps a day can mean a difference between 1 and 1.5 pounds per week, which is a lot. It really makes a huge amount of difference when you add it up across multiple weeks. And if you're looking for more ways to walk, I actually did a video on this where I discovered 6 different ways you can do more walking as a part of your routine. I'm going to leave that video in the description below. Also, if you enjoyed this video, do make sure to subscribe below and enable notifications, hitting that bell icon as well. Details for coaching are in the description below if you want to work with me as your coach on your fitness journey. So check out those details below in the description. I will see you in that next video.